Hello, Zoe. How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to see you again, of course. And how was the week for you?
Busy.
Yeah.
School and yeah.
Okay. What all did you do?
Really just had some exams and so I was studying for that.
Mm-hmm.
And just classes and didn't really do anything
Okay.
not school related.
Okay. Good. 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 Was school a good amount of stress on you, or not really?
Yeah, at the same time. So
Yeah, it's about that time, right?
yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay. Well, how have you been feeling this past week for you? How were you emotionally, physically? Any attacks? Anything?
I didn't have any attacks, but I'm still nervous about having another one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I can see how something like that would make one nervous. Like you mentioned, the palpitations, the sweating, and everything that goes along with that is pretty scary stuff. Nobody wants to experience that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay. Well, I had a chance to just look a little further into the description of what you were giving me in terms of the attacks and what they might be and what it might classify as. And I don't want to give a hard diagnosis, but I do believe that some of the details and the implications of what you were describing were very, very synonymous with panic disorder and or anxiety disorder. And it doesn't mean that we're downing that as your issue, but some of the symptoms are very much congruent with what the DSM-5, which is pretty much the Bible of psychology,
Okay.
what it describes. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that today, a little bit more, and then kind of investigate more about your situation and learn more about it. And in doing so, I'd like to use a couple of symptom measures and evaluations to kind of give us a guide for discussion today.
Okay.
So I'd like to go over these with you now, if that's possible.
Okay.
You fine with that?
Sure.
Perfect, perfect. All right, so what we have here today is this is the DSM-5 of self-rated level 1 cross-cutting symptom measure. This is for adults, and it's just a rubric to kind of give us some sort of tangibility.
Okay.
To kind of rate you on to see where you are with these issues and the problem that you're having. So just going to ask you a few questions, and then you're to rank them in answer, 1 being slight to 4 being severe or nearly every day. So 1 is rare, less than a day or 2, and slight, and then on an extreme end, severe is nearly every day. So it's pretty prevalent.
Okay.
All right. So during the past week, how often have you been bothered by the following problems? Little interest or pleasure in doing things? 1 slight or...
No, I don't. I haven't. I don't think that applies.
Okay, now it doesn't apply. So you've not had a decline in interest of doing things. You've been pretty normative there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right. Good. All right. So not at all actually. So that. But have you been feeling down or depressed or any hopelessness at all?
No, I don't think depressed is the right word.
Or down or hopeless? None of the above?
No, I don't think so.
All right, that's good. What about irritated, grouchy, or angry? This past week, have you felt any of that?
Maybe a little bit.
Uh-huh.
It's I was kind of stressed out from exams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like a 1.
Okay.
2.
A 1 or a 2?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Let you pull the trigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe slight.
Slight. Okay, about 1. Okay, that's good. All right, now, what about sleeping less than usual, but still having a lot of energy? Does that apply at all? How's your sleeping pattern been?
I mean, it's kind of how it's usually been. I wouldn't say I've been sleeping less than usual.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what is usual?
Usually, I mean, it usually takes me a while to get to sleep, but like once I get asleep, I'm asleep.
Okay, you sleep fine?
Yeah.
No intermittent breaking or no periods of insomnia or anything like that?
No.
Okay. All right. So zero that out. What about starting lots more projects than usual or doing more risky things than usual? Have you been doing anything or starting anything, initiating anything more than usual?
No.
No.
I mean, it really just studying and trying to deal with my exam.
Yeah, definitely. So no time to start new projects. So.
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right. And then what about feeling nervous? Any feeling of nervousness, anxiety, frightened, worried, on edge a bit on this past week?
Yeah. I think that would apply.
That one's pretty applicable, huh?
Yeah, I was anxious about my exams, and I mean, I think I was worried about having another panic attack, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, so we would probably rate that maybe 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Which would you? Is it nearly every day? More than half of the days? What do you think?
Probably nearly every day.
Nearly every day. Okay. All right. And that's okay. We're getting somewhere. Feeling of being panicked or frightened? Same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you been avoiding situations that make you anxious? Slightly or every day?
I mean, I don't, not like I haven't been like a specific, I guess, situations that are making me anxious.
Okay.
I'm just kind of feeling anxious.
Okay, so just kind of feeling anxious.
Yeah, so I guess no.
Okay, so no, not really. So, and have you noticed anything that stimulates the feeling one way or another? Anything that stimulates or calms the feeling from when it does surge?
I mean, well, running used to help, but I mean, I've been afraid, I don't want to cause another panic attack.
As you mentioned, you had a panic attack while running.
Yeah.
So obviously that's a sore spot for you.
Yeah. And I mean, I think like my exams this week have made it worse because, the school stress was more intense than it like normally would be.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Any unexplained aches or pains, back, head, joints, abdomen, legs, anything on your body?
No.
Okay, so you're not in any physical pain.
No.
All right, that's good. And have you felt like your condition has not been taken seriously, like maybe by your family members or even by your doctor, even in our sessions? How are you feeling about it? About how people are taking your condition?
I mean, I think like having people, acknowledge that maybe like trying to figure out what's happening. So like, no, I don't think so. That question.
Okay, not very applicable for you.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody seems to be taking it serious and taking at your word that this is an issue. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So, any thoughts of hurting yourself in any way?
No.
No, none of that. All right, that's good. That's very good. All right. What about anything such as hearing things that other people can't hear, or voices, or when no one's around? Have you heard any things that can relate to that?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All right. So no hallucinations or anything like that.
No.
That's good. All right. Now, what about feeling that someone could hear your thoughts, or that you could hear what another person maybe was thinking? Any telepathic connections or anything like that? No. Okay. All right. All right. I mean, you never know. You never know. All right. What about any problems that with sleep that affected your sleep quality overall? Anything in sleep happening? Any dreams? Any fears or anxieties that you experienced during sleep, or did you get the complete night's rest?
I mean, I think the only thing with, like, I mean, it does, like...
Because you had one in your sleep before, right?
Yeah, and it takes me a long time. Like, it takes me a really long time to fall asleep. I find, like, I don't know, my mind is, like, racing everything that I need to think about. And, and then getting nervous about if I wake up again and that happens. So that, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, I do eventually fall asleep. It sometimes just takes a few hours.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So that one's not exactly applicable. What about any memory problems? Are you remembering things just fine? So no lapses or forgetfulness?
No.
All right.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Good. What about any unpleasant thoughts or urges? Perhaps even images that repeatedly enter your mind. Anything such as that rings a bell?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's a good one. All right. Any feeling of being driven to perform certain behaviors or mental acts over and over again? Anything like that?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Good. All right. We're rounding the end of this thing here. Any feelings of being detached or distant from yourself or your body, or your physical surroundings, or your memories? No? All right. You're a pretty mentally healthy girl. That's good. All right. What about feelings of not knowing who you really are or what you want out of life? Are you pretty certain about that? Or
I mean, I definitely am. Like, I'm confident that, like, I want to be a nurse.
Yeah.
And have a family and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You're already married.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right, what about any feelings of not feeling close to other people or enjoying your relationships with them? Do you feel distant? Any feelings of distance or estrangement from family members, significance?
I mean, I guess, just moving here, like, I feel more distant than I ever have before to, like, my family.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's, like, a general over, like, not just this past week. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't, like, increase or anything. I mean, I still feel close to him. It's just, it's different.
Absolutely. Yeah, and of course, many would say that it's normal to have those kind of that homesick feeling or, just missing your family members, the convenient or that which was most familiar.
Yeah.
So that's pretty normative emotion reactions. All right. So, any drinking of any alcohol at all? None of that. Okay, that's good. Smoking cigarettes, pipe, snuff, chewing tobacco. None of the above. Okay, great. And any medicines on your own that you use? No medicines. Okay. What about vitamins? Are you taking any vitamins at all? Any supplements?
No.
No. Okay. Good. All right. Well, that suffices that. We have one more small assessment here, and this one is a severity measure for panic disorder.
Okay.
All right. So this one may be a little bit more particular.
Okay.
To what you've described and what you might be familiar with. So
what exactly is panic disorder?
Well, panic disorder is, and again, we're not diagnosing you with that firmly. What panic disorder is, though, it is a disorder whereby the emotions of the victim begins to get unstable. They experience heart palpitations, sweating, fears, phobias, perhaps, things like that. Much of what you described, there's about 13 different known symptoms of it. You qualified for 4 to 5 of the known symptoms of the 13, which by letter of the law is something to be taken seriously.
Okay.
So you're very parallel, but we're still learning. This is only our second session, so we want to be very careful and slow in procedure before we go, classifying you as something that you may or may not actually be experiencing. But we want to be sure about it.
Okay.
But being transparent with you, 4 those or 5 of those 13 different symptoms you expressed pretty clearly. You had at least 3. You haven't had any more since, which is good. But 3 is something in the past 2 months.
Yeah.
Is something to be taken seriously.
Okay.
And you also mentioned the sweating, the intense feelings and fears of death. These things are all inclusive to the description of what panic disorder is.
Is this something like is this something that could physically harm me?
No. But this is not something that's going to. This is not something that's. First of all, let's say this. Number 1, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. All right. Sometimes it happens for different reasons for different people. So there could be certain triggers that might stimulate it. We haven't located any of those in a concrete way with you just yet, which is why we're still investigating it.
Okay.
But what we do know is that this is not something that's going to overtake you. All right.
Okay.
You're okay. You're around people who love you. You've got a healthy childhood and background. You're a progressive professional. You're in a good place. You've got a lot of good things to hang your hat on. You don't have this tumultuous and intrepid childhood where with the exception, of course, of your little brother passing at a young age, which you don't very much remember all the details and ramifications of that.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more removed from you.
Yeah.
But with the exception of that, you've had a pretty solid and secure and frankly optimal upbringing, which is good. So with all things considered, you're in a good place. We just need to investigate how we can get a handle on it, how we can get control of it, try to navigate and find out whether or not we can identify any clear-cut triggers for it, and then look at your goals and see what those are in terms of trying to keep it under control. And because obviously your biggest fear is that you don't want to die. And good news is that you're not going to. All right.
Okay.
Good. So before we get into this, let's speak a little bit about the people in your circle, those who have been going through this with you, who've been there most readily to experience it with you. Have they been reassuring you? Have they given you any confidence that this is going to be okay? What kind of encouragement, if any, has your family been giving you?
My husband has been supportive of me coming here and has told me that, we'll figure it out and that it'll be okay. So that's been helpful. And I talked to my sister about it, and she too kind of is in that same vein. Yeah, and she said that she had a friend who had panic attacks, and that they figured it out. So that helped, I guess.
Okay. When she shared with you about her friend having panic attacks, did you investigate that any further to find out how it impacted her friend or what her friend did to stabilize it?
She just said that she too went and met with the social worker, and that then she was able to deal with it. We didn't really get the details, but
okay, that's good. All right. Now, when your family, when your husband, namely, encourages you or attempts to make you feel secure about the conditions and the episodes that you've been experiencing, do you believe him? Do you trust that what he says is true about you're going to be okay?
Yes and no. I guess.
Tell me more about that.
I don't know. I guess I'm still I still just have that fear of having another one, and I was still worried that it would could do something physical, like was it some kind of physical,
Mm-hmm.
and if it wasn't, like just worried that like I don't know, like something's wrong with me, obviously, and so it's all just kind of with all of that going on. It's like I want to believe him, but like then I think this knowing like what it might be is helping.
Mm-hmm.
So I hopefully can actually believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So I understand. So what I'm hearing is that you do believe him, of course, at face value when he mentions, "Hey, you're going to be okay," but at the same time, you're still struggling with some of the fears of wanting to prevent it from happening again. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is very normal. When you have something happen to you that you don't like, you want to ensure, for all intents and purposes, that you can control it not happening again.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, yeah. Just so you know, I think I mentioned to you that some of the symptoms were, palpitations, sweating, trembling, smothering, chest pain, persistent fear of dying, which all of these you have identified with and said that these are the experiences. So this is something that you're not the first person to deal with this, which should be refreshing because it's not something that nobody's ever not heard of, or that it can't be treated. This is something that you can talk about. It can be rationalized, and we can understand it.
Okay.
So that's good. How does that make you feel?
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Guess it's good knowing that I'm not some weird
Yeah.
random.
No, not at all. Not by a long shot. So, so that's good. It's something that's documented, and it's something that health professionals and practitioners are familiar with.
Okay.
So it's something that we can try to manage. Psychotherapy is really a very good portal for treatment. Just sometimes talking about the issues and getting it out, and understanding what you're dealing with can be just a big relief.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what's happening now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so.
Absolutely. All right. So what we're going to do here, this is just another brief assessment, and this is helping me put together just more tangible understanding, so I can have a fabric of what exactly your case is. And one thing I don't think is smart to do is to blanket any and everybody with just one cookie cut diagnosis. Every case is different. Every person is different. So these evaluations help me to assess your situation exclusively and uniquely to you.
Okay.
All right. So it says the following questions ask about thoughts, feelings, and behaviors about panic attacks. A panic attack is an episode of intense fear that sometimes comes out of the blue for no apparent reason. All right. The symptoms of a panic attack include a racing heart, shortness of breath, dizziness, sweating. Are any of these sounding familiar?
Yeah.
All right. And fear of losing control or dying. So all of these are familiar, or should sound familiar to what you experience. Please respond to each item by marking a check or an X, one box per row.
Okay.
All right. So during the past 7 days, you have either never, occasionally, half of the time, most of the time, or all of the time, felt moments of sudden terror, fear, fright, sometimes out of the blue, i.e. a panic attack in the past 7 days.
I didn't have a panic attack this past week.
So great. Never. All right. Step in the right direction. All right. The past 7 days, you have felt anxious, worried, or nervous about having more panic attacks.
Yeah.
All the time, most of the time, half the time, occasionally.
Probably either most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay. When you are having these thoughts, have you noticed where you are normally in terms of proximity or location? Are you on the job? Are you at school? What's going on? Are you at home relaxing? When do you tell me more about that?
I mean, I guess the feeling anxious and worried, it's kind of just kind of in the back of my mind, just generally. So I guess I'm in most of those. I'm at school, at home. I've experienced that both places, and that's true. Usually, the places that matter, school or home.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. So I'm hearing that school and home are the most prevalent areas that it happens at. So probably because that's where you're there all the time. You're there the most of the time, right?
Yeah.
All right. Is it a pervading thought or fear that happens consistently, or does it ebb and flow? Does it feature itself and then retract?
I mean, it's kind of always there. I think sometimes I'm better at distracting myself, like with studying or stuff like that. But if I don't have something, I don't know, it's kind of just consistently, just kind of feel anxious about it, or
And obviously, I can understand how frustrating and how scary that could be. So when you're studying, are you able to focus?
I mean, yes, yeah. I feel anxious, but I think some of that anxious feeling too is just from being worried about the exams as well. But I mean, I was able to study enough, so yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So have you had any thoughts about losing control, dying, going crazy, or other bad things happening because of the panic attacks within the last 7 days?
Yeah.
Which of those in that classification?
I think more, maybe like half of the time or occasionally, somewhere between there.
Okay, half of the time or occasionally. All right, let's, between these two. All right. Maybe right there. All right, in between it. Okay. And you had thoughts of losing control, dying, going crazy, other bad. Which of those are relevant in that class?
I mean, I guess I've had thoughts of being worried that this was something that like could kill me, or if I'm so worried about having another panic attack, or if it comes, like what if it comes in the middle of like me having to give a presentation or something, or like in the middle of an exam, like that could affect more things in my life. So I'm also like had thoughts about that. And yeah, I mean, I didn't know what it was, so I did have some moments where I kind of felt like I was going crazy.
All right, good. And then those moments subside?
Yeah, usually, I mean, I think sometimes I've had some of these thoughts, like when I'm trying to go to sleep, because like, I feel like that's probably when I can't think about other things, because they're not, in front of me. Or, like, yeah, anytime, I guess I get back to thinking about it, which is randomly or...
Yeah. Well, I think it can happen, and for reasons known and unknown. So that's okay. Now, what about have you felt a racing heart, sweaty, trouble breathing, faint, or shaky within the past 7 days? Any of the above?
No.
That's good. That's very good actually, because typically when these happen, then that's indicative of perhaps the attack kind of surging.
Okay.
So if you haven't had any racing heart, not being sweaty, or any trouble breathing, if you've been breathing regularly, your lungs are contracting and extracting pretty normatively, then that's good. Then those are good things, as opposed to when you're feeling shaky, when you're feeling the trepidation arising, when you're sweating, and the racing heart palpitations, which is what we discussed. So that's a really good example of the contrast of where you want to be versus where you don't want to be.
Okay.
So that's good. All right. So that was there. What about, have you had feelings of tense muscles, or have you felt on edge or restless, or had any trouble relaxing or trouble sleeping in the past week?
Yeah.
All right. Which of those?
I guess I've kind of felt a little restless, and I didn't know if it's because I haven't been running and just, more like,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess I feel like, I have had trouble falling asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Or like when I try to relax, usually it's sometimes when I think about it.
Okay.
Because I don't have other things distracting me, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Now, the running, I guess, observe objectively is that running's good. It's an exercise, and typically that it's exercise for the heart. It's good cardiac exercise, and it builds stamina. It builds resistance. So that's endurance is good. It's good. So I would not suggest that the running is what's stimulating the attacks. And exercise is actually a healthy thing to do. Any doctor, you don't even have to be a rocket scientist to understand that exercise is good for the human body.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are or what state you're in. Of course, if you're physically impaired, then obviously you earn an exception card.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're in good health. You're breathing fine. You do get a full night's rest. While sometimes you have trouble falling asleep, when you finally get there, then it's smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm.
The trouble falling asleep could be attributed to the the racing mind of not being at peace with whether or not it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like if you got a few things on your plate with school,
mm-hmm.
you've got a new marriage, you're just breaking in. You're away from your family, so there's quite a bit to be thinking about, and you've got it all in your mind simultaneously.
Yeah.
So that could explain the trouble sleeping that you're having there, and perhaps the restlessness, because you got a few irons in the fire right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Have you thought about that? If so or not, tell me more about what are your thoughts regarding what I just said.
It makes sense. There's been a lot of changes recently, so just adjusting to that, and I think too, like not having made a lot of friends here hasn't helped. Kind of makes me feel a little bit more like I have David, but
yeah. So do you intentionally stay away from friends or from people that might want to forge a friendship with you?
No, not intentionally. I think it whenever I'm with new people, I think it always takes me a little longer to get over my shyness to get to know people. So that, probably that will, I've met some people. So I'm hopeful that will change.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you think, so running wouldn't necessarily bring on a panic attack?
No, running should not bring on a panic attack, again,
Okay.
because running objectively is healthy for the body.
Okay.
It's healthy. So, I think one of the things that we should do is iron out or chart out what your goals are. And before we get into anything else, let's talk about that. What are your goals?
I want to feel confident either that I won't have another panic attack, or I don't know, is there like some way to handle a panic? It's like if you, know one's coming or something, because usually it starts with kind of the more physical.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I'm feeling that, maybe if there was a way to like stop it from becoming what I've experienced before. So either just completely getting rid of them. I don't know like what we can do there or what I can do there. So I guess that's my main that's my main goal.
Yeah, to prevent it from happening.
Yeah,
definitely. So so what I'm hearing is your main thing is just to make sure that even if you feel them coming on, you can get them under control. Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, I mean, of course, there's different medications that can be prescribed, you know, and so we would have to look further into what those options could be for you. But yeah, there's certain things that we can do to help induce the suppression of one that's pending or approaching.
Okay.
And so we can look into some of those options for you, and we'll dig deeper into that a little later. But yeah, that's something. But what we want to do on first base is really understand it as much as we can, and deal with the fears of it. Because if we're not aggressive and strategic in how we our psychological approach to it, then just like this past week, nothing happened, but you had some real fears about it.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, that can inhibit the progress of our life. If you're hearing what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah. So before we go to the medication route or any other things, I think it's healthy to look at what we can do psychologically to deal with some of the fears that are real, but they're just that, they're fears. And fears are what we know. Fears are not things that are actually taking place. They're things that we don't want to take place. And so just understanding that distinction and recognizing, hey, yes, you've had some attacks, but you just had a really good week. You had a really good week where nothing happened. You didn't feel any shortness of breath. You slept well. There's some really good things to appreciate, and then perhaps we can focus on how can we get more of that to happen.
Yeah.
How's that sound? What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think whatever will help. I don't want to feel like this all the time. So
definitely. And of course, like you mentioned earlier, talking about it really helps. It helps alleviate some of the anxiety, helps expunge some of the stress, and you had a good week. You're feeling a lot better. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, I didn't have a panic attack.
There you go. So every day without a panic attack is a great day. Yeah, and so what's very difficult for some people is to not live their life in fear of the unknown. Sometimes the fear of the unknown it's tremendous, and it's very, very real, and it can seize your mental capacity. It can seize your mind. So we want to find good strategies and techniques to combat that, so that you're not stressing over that which you can't control. And so, well, let me ask you this: how do you deal with things that you can't control?
That's a question.
That is a question, isn't it?
I guess normally in other situations I would either just worry about it or try to focus on what I can control.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is the things that you don't have direct control over, the way that you handle that is worry about it, or what was the other one?
Try to just focus on what I can control.
Okay, all right. So So let's explore the dual components of that. All right. So what features and benefits does worrying about it yield for you?
I mean, I don't think it yields benefits. I think it's just I, get worried about it. I can't imagine that actually does anything for me.
Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, maybe we've reached an enlightening moment, perhaps. All right. So it doesn't exactly yield you any benefit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sure? Because I mean, if there's typically when people consistently, go to an option, it's yielding some sort of either, if not overt, at least covert benefit.
I mean, I guess worrying about it maybe can somehow make me feel like I can do something about it, even if I can't.
Okay.
But it also, I mean, it's, distressing to be worried about something that you actually can't do anything about.
Okay. All right. So worrying then perhaps maybe presents an illusion that you actually can effectively influence a matter that you really cannot. Kind of like a mirage, or so a fallacy, if you will. All right. So I think we're back then to square one and saying that worrying is not very beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's look at the other option, which is realizing. Go ahead.
Oh, trying to control what I can control.
Absolutely. All right. So let's look at that. How should I ask the question? What benefits and features does trying to control what you can control yield you?
I mean, you don't have to just sit there and worry about it, because you can actually handle whatever you can control and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it, gives me more of a feeling of like confidence that I can, then it's like, okay, here's this problem, and I'm doing this about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So being actually able to put a hand to the problems.
Yeah.
Does it give you some sense of peace?
Yeah, I think it helps, because if you can, if you're doing something about it, then like you can influence that, and like it's less like I sense that you can actually do something. Like I don't just have to sit there and think about it or like worry about it and not be able to alleviate that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, absolutely. Yeah, I can understand that for sure. And so, so the things that you can actually impact, then you exercise your liberty and ability to do that. And that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we just discovered with the things that you can't impact or influence, that it doesn't make an entirely amount of overwhelming sense to concern ourselves with the things that we can't control. Am I safe in saying that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. I think we're getting somewhere. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So maybe one of the things that you can do is perhaps, remind yourself that, considering the fact that you can't ignite an attack, nor can you, even incite one at all. That would be something that you can't control. That's not something that you can. So the question that we now must ask ourselves is, how much mental stress and dedication should we reserve for something that you can't even get an angle on?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to, I don't know how to turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so let's finish the assessment, and
Okay.
then perhaps we can discuss some ways where we can look at trying to control our thoughts,
Okay.
and maybe some of those exercises will aid in that. But all right, we'll finish up the assessment here. In the past 7 days, have you avoided or did not approach or enter situations in which panic attacks might occur? What was your answer?
I mean, I guess no, because the panic attacks I had occurred I avoided running, but they've been so random that I wouldn't even know what to avoid.
Exactly, because one happened with running, and another one happened with sleeping.
Yeah.
So that question is kind of like if you avoid running, then do you avoid sleeping?
Yeah.
So that's kind of so so with that if it's safe to sleep, it just might be safe to run, maybe.
Yeah, and that might decrease some of my stress.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
That's always what I used to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. That's good. So 0 there. In the past 7 days, have you left situations early or practiced only minimally because of panic attacks?
I mean, I didn't do as much study time with the one girl I mentioned in my last session, because I then started getting worried, what if I had a panic attack? I didn't want to have to explain that to her. I didn't want her to think that I'm just this crazy person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if that applies to that question.
Yeah, absolutely. So how would you rate that? Would you rate it occasionally, half the time, most of the time?
I mean, I guess that happened twice in the past week.
Okay.
So occasionally.
Sure. Okay.
That's less than half.
Yeah. All right. I think we're moving along. In the past 7 days, did you spend a lot of time preparing for or procrastinating about, putting off situations which panic attacks might occur?
No, I guess not.
It's pretty open and shut. All right. And then what about in the past week? Did you distract yourself to avoid thinking about panic attacks?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
While studying, or when I wasn't studying, I was either trying to watch a lot of Netflix or
Netflix and chill.
Read.
Yeah. Okay. So some TV or reading and studying, and that helped. Did it help?
I mean, it distracted me for a little bit, so it succeeded at that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. So you'd say all the time, most of the time?
Most of the time.
Okay.
Or half the time, somewhere there.
Okay. Very good. And what about the last question here? In the final week, have you needed help to cope with panic attacks? Any alcohol, medication, superstition objects, or other people? Any assistance? Any external aids?
I mean, I didn't have a panic attack.
Right.
I mean, me and David talked about, so, one point when I was feeling really anxious, he tried to calm me down. So I guess if that would count.
Okay.
That happened once.
So what happened? Tell me about that experience.
I mean, it was, I was having trouble sleeping, and I just started getting really worried about, that, I was going crazy, or that this could maybe, would kill me or something. And I think it woke him up. And then he just, tried to tell me it'd be okay and all of that.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Well, Well, this is good. We learned a lot. We learned a lot, and today, and I'm happy that you've got David in your corner because he's certainly encouraging you, and he's there to help kind of regulate and equalize some things, help you let you know that you're going to be fine, which is the truth. You will be fine.
Okay.
So perhaps now we're out of time now, but I want you to kind of I'm going to give you these documents so you can kind of look at your own answers, and you can evaluate where you are. These answers are all a reflection of where you are.
Okay.
So we'll make copies of these for you.
Okay.
And then you can kind of rehearse these things, look at them, see how you're feeling about them, see if anything changes next week, and we'll come back and then we'll look at some exercises and some modalities to see if we can help control the approach of some of these things.
Okay.
And so but we got a lot done today. So, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good knowing that like this can't kill me.
Yeah.
And that like it's like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just losing my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are not losing your mind. It is not going to kill you, and it is a thing.
Okay.
So that should all be reassuring for you. So yeah, but yeah. So we had a great meeting today, Zoe. Thanks for coming in today, and we'll see you next week. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Here.